Recently, in a very short time, we got to see previews of new installments from two of my favorite gaming series, Resident Evil and Silent Hill. So much new stuff, some expected, some surprising, some downright shocking. We'll start with Resident Evil because that's the biggest and the simplest. I've seen the gameplay trailer, the story trailer, and the IGN extended gameplay video. And wow, I'm convinced. I'm 100% sold on it because it looks like what I hoped it would be. The same gameplay, modernized controls, deeper combat, and more interesting AI. Faithful recreations of classic locations, a darker tone to help flow into it from the RE2 remake, but still a sense of the exaggerated with Leon spouting cocky one-liners. I love how it looks, I love the crouching stealth option that will hopefully give a nice break to the action, and I really love the change to the knife. Making it breakable like the RE2 remake allows them to make it stronger, using it for insta-kills on downed enemies, defense when being grabbed, and most amazingly, parrying the chainsaw. So you've got great knife utility, but it'll break, so I guess you gotta find new ones. They seem to be keeping RE4's gameplay intact, just iterating on it, which is the way to go since they're not changing the camera style. I hope I don't regret saying that I don't think they're gonna fuck it up. After RE3 Remake and Village, my faith was shattered, but this looks great. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna fuck something up. They fucked up aspects of the RE2 remake, even though I think it's an amazing game. So yeah, there will be something. There's always gonna be something.
And Ada sounds like shit.
Oh right, Ada's voice sounds like shit. They replaced the voice actress with the one from the god-awful Welcome to Raccoon City movie, and it's gonna ruin every scene she's in. Well, that's one fuck up. Better start making a list. Let's get to Silent Hill. Oh, Silent Hill, how complicated your story has been. Not just the story in-game, but the story of the games. The development, the people who have had control, the controversies, the fandom. You can't talk about Silent Hill on a YouTube channel without laying out where you stand. So here I am. I love the original trilogy. I love 1 for its gameplay and horror. I love 2 for the story and atmosphere. I love 3 for its locations, sound, and grotesque art. I love the exploration and puzzle solving in all 3 games, and the music, of course, is magnificent. Silent Hill 4, I'm 50-50 on it because it feels like 50% of the game it should be. There's a lot to like and a lot to dislike, but the music is amazing as usual. Everything after that is hot garbage. Not without their occasional moments of quality, but like they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. Everything from Silent Hill Origins all the way to Downpour can fuck off as far as I'm concerned. If you're a fan of those games, I have no problem with you, you like what you like, and I don't care. This isn't about you, it's about me. And from my perspective, there hasn't been even a decent Silent Hill entry in 18 years at this point. The first Silent Hill movie is a disaster that craps all over the source material by changing not only the nature of the town and its power, but changing the meaning of the monsters that appear, and changing the main characters' personalities and motivations so much that it becomes a movie that is Silent Hill in name only. The only redeeming quality of the film is in the visual department. It certainly isn't in the acting. It's a movie that became Christoph Gans' way to use an established franchise and decent Hollywood budget to push his political agenda on a large audience, to show how much he hates his political enemies. That's why the story of an innocent little girl being used for a cult ritual got turned into a movie about witch-burning Puritans who refuse to accept reality. That's why Rose yells, "Your faith brings death," at their leader. That's why Alessa got turned into a vehicle for revenge, massacring all the horrible witch burners at the end. Something video game Alessa would never ever do. The movie was Gans' statement about the fundamentalist extremist nature of the 2000s Bush administration and the wild nationalism around the Iraq War. Something the Silent Hill games have absolutely nothing to do with. I remember him talking about this on the old Silent Hill fan forums back in 2006, and I should have seen it as a warning sign, but I was too young to pick up on it. So, would you like to ask me if I'm excited about him returning for a sequel? Fuck no, I'm not. Especially knowing he's doing Silent Hill 2. Is he gonna mutilate that story too, to make it about politics or cancel culture or protests or whatever he's concerned about now? I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Obviously, I'm hoping he doesn't, and if he makes a good movie, I'll be here to tell you about it, but I have no confidence in him apart from his visual capabilities. Moving on to the games. Silent Hill Townfall? No comment. Not enough to go on. Oh, wait, it's made by No Code Studios. who made Observation and was founded by people who worked on Alien Isolation. So I'm expecting a story delivered by 100 different consoles to read and a game filled with mindless match-the-pattern minigames for babies. Next game, Silent Hill F. How is a Silent Hill game taking place in Japan in the 60s? That's like 10 years before the original game's starting event, halfway around the world. Okay, I'm curious to see how that's gonna work, as long as it doesn't start messing with the original trilogy's story. I understand there's a lot of interesting symbolism happening in the trailer. I think that's great, and the hints at what the game may really be about make Silent Hill F by far the most interesting of all the announcements. And hey, having a game written by a respected writer and also having a respected art director is amazing. Story and art are arguably just as important as gameplay in a Silent Hill title. I recommend checking out the analysis by the Gaming Muse here on YouTube for some interesting theories about what the trailer reveals. But the game does still need to be good if it's trying to be more than just an interactive cinematic. So looking past the art direction and symbolism, what kind of game are we looking at? There's no gameplay to be seen in the trailer, just some nice imagery. Who's the developer? Neobards Entertainment. What have they done that makes them worthy of tackling Silent Hill? Since its opening in 2017, Neobards has worked closely with Capcom as a regular outsourcing partner. Its first projects with them were the remastered ports of Capcom legacy games Devil May Cry HD Collection and Onimusha Warlords, and the porting of Resident Evil Origins Collection to the Nintendo Switch. They would also later be contracted with developing the 2022 enhanced ports of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which included ray tracing. In a more expansive developer role, Neobards developed Resident Evil Resistance and Resident Evil RE-Verse. So they're a company that does ports and remasters. Okay, I hope it's good. But that's not what you're here for. You're here for Silent Hill 2, the big boy of the group, hailed by many to be the greatest horror game of all time, for plenty of reasons. Well, I can say now that this trailer does nothing at all to make me less worried about it. I already made a video about why I don't want Silent Hill to be remade at all. It largely focuses on how I don't trust Bloober Team with the narrative, and I don't think Silent Hill 2's story works in a modern game when people are already used to seeing psychology issues being dealt with in video games. So the twists and turns won't be surprising anymore, unless they significantly change the story, and I'm not crazy about that idea either. And they're definitely not going to be surprising anyone after that fucking trailer. Spoilers for Silent Hill 2 going forward. I'm not going to specifically state what happens in the game or what it's about, just in case people are still watching that don't really know the game, but what I'm about to say is a big spoiler. The protagonist, James Sunderstand, comes to Silent Hill because of a mysterious letter he got from his wife who died 3 years ago, asking them to meet her in their special place. Not understanding what's happening, and thinking he's crazy for even going here, he explores the town, meeting other troubled people and encountering disturbing creatures. Slowly the mystery unravels, and we learn what really brought him to the town. There's a lot more to him than he makes obvious to us, and there's a lot more to him than even he understands about himself. He's a man with a lot of repressed guilt, and the game becomes about dealing with that guilt. But first he has to realize that he has something to feel guilty about. He goes into the game's events oblivious to his own issues, and for good reason that we discover by the end. Little by little we get glimpses into this man, and he doesn't realize what's going on or that he has guilt to confront until far into the game. Silent Hill 2 delivers imagery that communicates to the player that guilt is a theme, people say certain things to him, certain places convey the idea of guilt, but it doesn't become explicitly shown until near the end. And it's very possible, especially for young players, for themes of guilt to go right over the player's head until near the end, allowing them to go back and see that the indicators were there all along. It's a fun discovery, peeling back all the layers of Silent Hill 2 and the artistry of its story. You aren't supposed to know that he feels guilty about stuff going in. Not for a long time are you supposed to know that. So what does Bloober Team / Konami do? They release a trailer advertising the entire concept of dealing with guilt. Instead of looking calm and prepared in the opening, he looks tortured and exhausted. He's sweating, his hands are shaking. They're giving away too much. Immediately, they're giving away that the guy has problems. And then they show scene after scene of late game moments where he's using the noose. They show him collapsing in agony in one of the game's final sequences, something they've exaggerated as far as they possibly could, taking a man who slowly falls to his knees under the weight of his guilt and turning him into screaming agony man, smashing his hands on the floor. And they feature voice lines from this scene where he's explaining his acceptance of the guilt he feels. This is infuriating. You're not supposed to know this shit. You don't put it in the trailer. And look, if by some miracle this actually turns out good, again, I'll come on and say it. I don't want this to suck, but they have not come out of the gate strong. On top of that, there's no gameplay footage, so if that turns out to be good, well, great. All I have to go on is their story trailer, and it's awful. The visuals are nice, but that's to be expected. There's stuff I like, the town looks good, I really like how all the characters are wearing their original outfits. I'm not happy about the over-the-shoulder camera like every other game in existence, but I guess we just have to swallow that at this point. It says creature design by Masahiro Ito, but we don't know what that means. He designed the original game's monsters, so if they're using those monsters, then yeah, those creatures are still designed by him. I'm doubtful they did anything more than bring him in for some consultation and maybe some sprucing up of old designs or just approving of their designs and getting a paycheck. I don't know what his actual involvement is. All he said on Twitter is, "I'm working on this," and it's been about 3 years since we visited the Bloober studio. It was so long ago, I'm assuming. That doesn't scream heavy involvement to me. So, oh man, I'm worried. I'm really worried. And I'm gonna leave it at that.